Hello, my name is Matthew Perez, and this is my Week 8 multimedia discussion titled Understanding Public Employee Rights. So in this presentation, I'll be discussing my thoughts about employee privacy and employers' rights to know. And then I'll relate these items to an example of an employer tracking employees on and off duty. And then I'll wrap up my presentation by discussing the proper balance required for an employer to monitor employees in the public sector. Let's begin by focusing on the notion that government employees have less privacy than employees in the private sector. And the reason for this is the public has a right to know what is going on in a government department. There are different laws such as the Freedom of Information Act or the California Public Record Act that allows the public to request government documents. And as a result, government employees have less privacy. And I agree government employees should have less privacy compared to the private sector employees, since they are dealing with public funds. The public should have the right to review documents from employee records, such as emails or text messages from a government-issued phone, as long as there's no sensitive information related to any ongoing investigations or any other confidential information being released. Now let's look at this from the employer's point of view. A government employer also has a right to track their assets, and this includes monitoring employee-issued devices such as a cell phone, computer, or vehicle that is used for work-related items. I believe government employers should have the right to know what their employees are doing during working hours, but there should be restrictions for when the employee is off duty. If it's not work-related, then the employer, even if it's a government entity, should limit its monitoring role. The video related to a company called Intermex, who is tracking employees even when they're on and off duty using a GPS app on the employee's personal phone, illustrates how an employer can use tracking a device to go too far. As technology continues to advance, companies are developing innovative tracking devices, and employers can be drawn to use this technology. But I believe that the tracking devices should only be used during working hours. Forcing an employee to download an app on their phone, especially their personal phone, in order to have the employer track them while they're off the clock goes beyond appropriate tracking measures. While there needs to be transparency and accountability for government organizations, there also needs to be restrictions to protect employees. Providing public transparency is a must, but there are limitations related to this that must be mentioned. There needs to be a balance of being transparent and not intruding on the employee's personal life. Tracking employees' location while off duty is a bit too much. Other items to consider when monitoring government employees is the need for that government employer to establish a unit whose sole purpose is public records request. And this can be costly, and depending on the department, may need additional personnel. It can also be time-consuming to redact information, especially if there is a video related to the requested information. Just to summarize my thought, while the public and employer should have the right to review government records, including items related to public employees, there also needs to be some restrictions to protect the government employee's private life. So, thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you all have a great rest of the summer. And here's a list of my references.